Hey Wayne, what is the current global situation regarding carbon recommended reductions and the general public movements and consensus towards climate change?
Well, you've got Greta, which kind of reminds me of the Seven Suzuki. Seems we always need to have a child on the scene to tell us adults how to run the planet. We kind of got Extinction Rebellion. They seem to be in the news. They were formed, I think, a few years ago under different names, something like Sunrising or something. Consensus-wise, in 2016 there was quite a large consensus done. 53% of the population believed in climate change was happening, and about 31% believed it was going to have some serious consequences. I dare say those figures have slightly moved, but how much is debatable.
Mm-hmm. What are your main views regarding these movements?
Well, with children on the scene, it's difficult in some respect, because at what age does a children know, or expect to know about climate change? I mean, if you get into the details of where we could end up, it's a bloody horror story. It's kind of worse than the Chainsaw Massacre, if you think about it. It's kind of a I mean, children obviously are aware that carbon needs to be reduced, but you tell them of the consequences of where, do 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds, how far do you go down that line? Regarding the other movement, the kind of Extinction Rebellion, I thought kind of a bit half kind of baked, because obviously if you make a statement to cut emissions, in the UK they were pushing by 2025 total reduction or negative emissions. By that, you're gonna hit the headlines. I mean, but he had one interview. His name will come to me in a minute. He had an interview with the Environment Minister, and on there he was starting to ask questions, of, well, if we don't get to that, what measures are we going to take to adapt? So I think he's more aware of the situation of the likelihood. I mean, we're going to see a warmer world anyway.
Mm-hmm. So are the fossil fuel companies to blame for the current situation?
It depends what you want to blame them for. I mean, you can't blame them for the high count of atmospheric CO2. I mean, if we wouldn't have removed about 40% of the forestry, tropical rainforestry, the count wouldn't be so high in the first place. I mean, there's various reasons for that. Whether it's been the livestock industry, palm oil industry, and other items grown that are non-essential food products, and of course timber removal as well. So no, you can't blame them for everything. That's crazy.
But the fossil fuel companies have been aware for decades of this coming situation.
Sure. I mean, obviously they've spread a lot of confusion. There's no doubt about that. And they're probably still, in some respect. I mean, the old confusion on the internet. Water vapours, either the driver, or saturation of the spectrum with CO. I mean, there's a lot of confusion still on the internet. But yeah, and of course the argument it could have been, if we would have started this, saying in the 80s, 1980s, we would have been a lot farther forward. Bearing in mind though that technology, whatever would have been placed in then, we would have had to have ripped out now anyway. But yeah, sure, there's no question about that.
And you do believe fighting these fossil fuel companies will radically reduce emissions?
I think it's a waste of time. We haven't got the time to fight them. I mean, if you have decades, I mean, you might win the odd one. I mean, actually, we actually need the fossil fuel companies more than ever now. They're the ones that have got to make the pledges that the vast reserves they've got, they won't touch. I mean, we need them to make statements at the pumps. You know, every time you fill up, you know, you're warming the atmosphere. You know, we need them to make these statements. I mean, Shell are quite actually quite approachable.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we can throw bricks through our windows. Sorry, Extinction Rebellion, but you know, but I don't think we haven't got time to. We actually need to get together for them to make the pledges. The vast, you know, and no matter what the of course it's difficult with shareholders and liquid money and whatever, but that's where we need to approach them quickly for this really.
What's Earth's best average temperature for mankind to continue to prosper?
There isn't one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be argued if our infrastructure was built on some 125,000 years ago, we wouldn't be debating this subject. But there isn't one. There isn't a temperature for mankind.
Okay. Moving on, how old is our current agriculture?
Well, people like to think, you know, 6,000 years old. There's indications of it even being older, up to you know, early cultivation, maybe 10,000 years. But it's not. It's a matter of years if you think about it logically, because of the technology. It's changed even over decades. It's changed so much, and that's the problem here. It's not. It's still stuck with the climate we're leaving. And that's the issue. It's not even decades old. It's very new. If you look at the machinery now to gather and the huge monocultural way of farming. I mean, it's very new, and that is the problem.
Why is mankind more threatening than a further degree Celsius warming?
Our problem is we're going to have a lot of people on the move. I mean, we've talked about this before, but you've got to look at the numbers. I mean, if you look at the people that are on less than $25 a week, and even more so, $50 a week. I mean, we're already carrying some 800 to 850 million that are food dependent for different reasons. But I mean, we could be looking on a further degree of numbers of even up to 1 in 7 people on the move. I mean, it could be, and that's not exaggeration. I mean, we could really be looking at it, and I mean, if you got to think about it, Europe recently was less than a million moving into that area, and that caused chaos. And that's our issue. Somebody's going to have to deal with this.
So this is what concerns you most about climate change? Or what is your main concern?
It's movement of people, mass movement of people. I mean, you've got to remember, I mean, it's taken, in the past 800,000 years, possibly even up to 3 million, it's taken between 5 and 20,000 years to add 100 parts per million of CO2 concentration. We've done that in 62 years. I mean, we're on this. I mean, past was a roller skater, probably a mile long sort of thing with 5 meters off the ground, and you kind of gently roll down it. I mean, we're on this roller skater that is 5 meters long and 5 meters up in the air, and the problem is it doesn't. When you come off, because we're rushing down, you carry on. The climate systems are actually feeding off each other now. So when you come down, you actually don't stop to a gentle. You carry on, and that's where we're headed. You know, that's the track we're on.
And a lot of people will be asking to you, what is the solution?
We keep coming back to it. Whatever we're going to have to remove. We keep coming back to the same question. We're going to end up having to remove from the atmosphere. There's There is no other solution. Now, whether it's done artificially or naturally, and even the time period would be questionable, even if it could be achieved. I mean, it's a hell of a task, but we keep coming back to it. There's no other solution. There's no other way around it. That's it.